Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for a Fruition Partners and Mobile Reach webinar entitled, It's 2015, Make ITAM Less Painful with Mobile Technology. Today's webinar is being recorded, so if you have to jump off early for any reason, you'll be able to watch a recording of the webinar, which will be shared sometime next week. Here's a look at today's panel of presenters. We definitely have a full house and are certainly excited to have some of the stars from the Mobile Reach team here with us today. I'd like everyone on the panel to say a quick hi before we move on, just so everyone can put a face with the voices they'll be hearing later today. Clark, I'll go ahead and start with you.
Sure, thanks, Mike. Hello, everyone. This is Clark. Very excited to be here today with everyone else.
Thanks, Clark. Andy?
Hey, everyone. This is Andy. Thanks for joining today, and we're looking forward to it.
Thanks, Andy. Denise?
Yes, this is Denise, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Denise. Bob?
Hi, I'm Bob Shelton, and thanks to all of you for taking the time to be here.
Thanks, Bob. And finally, Mike.
Thanks very much. Looking forward to it. This is going to be a good use of all of our time.
Great. Thanks, guys. I do want to point out that Clark and Denise will be doing a live demo of how the Mobile Reach integration works with ServiceNow, so definitely stick around for that. So when it comes to webinar participation, don't be shy. If you have a question, enter it in the GoToWebinar panel, or if you prefer, send us a tweet using the posted hashtag. Just note that today's webinar is only 30 minutes, and we do have a lot to cover, including the demo. So we might not get to your question during the broadcast. If that's the case, we'll definitely follow up with you personally after the webinar. And if you look in the upper right-hand corner of this slide, you'll see that we do have some polls today. We actually have 2 of them. We'll be launching polls on the slides that have a poll icon in that corner. So be on the lookout, and we will definitely be sure to share the poll results with you in real time. And then here's just a quick overview of today's agenda. Pretty light. You know, the demo is the biggest feature of today. So this just gives you an idea of how today will flow. So real quick, company overview. A lot of you have joined us in the past for a webinar or have worked with us. So you might be already familiar with Fruition Partners. For those who aren't, this infographic does a good job of highlighting our services and differentiators. To summarize, though, we are a one-stop shop for all of your service management needs. And we've been in practice for over 10 years now. For the last 6 of those years, we've been an exclusive partner of ServiceNow, meaning all of our services and experts are focused on helping you get the most out of the platform. So whether you need architecture oversight or you know, if you're looking for advisory services to guide your transformation process, we can definitely help you out. It is worth noting that we just moved into Canada with a recent acquisition. So we're definitely excited to bring our service management expertise to our neighbors up north. So if you're looking for some more information, though, about Fruition Partners or would like to download this infographic, go ahead online and check out our website, fruitionpartners.com. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Mike so he can give you a little more information on Mobile Reach and what they do.
Thank you, Mike. So greetings, everybody. Mobile Reach has been around for a pretty long period of time. We actually eclipsed the time that ServiceNow has been in business. So it's been kind of an interesting change for us over the years to see kind of the progression and the needs of folks being met by different types of solution partners. So we've really kind of cut our teeth in the mobility industry, saying that we can reach into a back office application or database and extend relevant fields of information out to a mobile device so that somebody in the field can actually interact with that information, do their job more efficiently, collect more information, etc. And over that period of time, it's also been fairly interesting in terms of the power of the different networks that are available and the power of some of the different mobile devices that have come out into the marketplace today as well. So we've seen a lot of neat and interesting changes over the years. And what we are as an organization is kind of a collection of all of these different years of seeing how mobile solutions have changed the landscape. And our customers really are fairly vast. We've done everything from working in the federal space, actually within classified networks from the Department of Defense, as well as retail organizations, manufacturing facilities, things of that nature. So we've seen mobility do a lot of neat and interesting things. And when ServiceNow really started catching fire and exploding, it was a wonderful opportunity for us to kind of take a look at some of their offerings. And as a matter of fact, a lot of our customers who are using our solutions for their barcode scanning needs, collecting IT asset information, doing a physical inventory, having an application sitting on a mobile device, scanning an asset tag, bringing up the relevant information about that asset on the screen, being able to make changes to it, etc. We've been doing that for a long time, and then ServiceNow came on the scene, and we partnered up with them. One of our customers actually demanded that we partner up with them. And really over the time that we've been in business, what we've really focused on, and what you'll see today in the demonstration, is that we really like to lay claim to two primary features and benefits, and that is we make the CMDB accurate. We make sure that the reconciliation of the assets that are deployed in your environment also are sitting correctly in the ServiceNow CMDB. And the other thing is there's a field force of folks that have to actually go out and do the collection. If you can automate that process and allow them to do it from their devices rather than writing it down on a piece of paper, etc., you really streamline a lot of stuff. So as you'll see in the presentation, the really cool stuff are the barcode scanning apps, and Denise and Clark will be running through some of those for you. So we support all the primary or the main devices that are out there today, iOS, which includes iPhone, iPod Touch, and iPad, any Android phone or Android tablet, vintage BlackBerry and new BlackBerry 10 stuff, as well as any Windows mobile device that's out there today. So we're excited about a lot of the increase in technology that's available that we can tap into. Being native to these devices allow us a lot of neat, interesting capabilities. We can operate completely online when there's a connection, or completely offline if you're in an environment that's disconnected. The other feature that we've found that's really kind of cool with the mobile technology that we've got is that we have seen other mobile solutions fail from one primary reason, and that is the applications just don't really respond all that well. You get in an area of low network coverage, and you might get an hourglass, and you're doing round trips to the server. It's all about user experience, and if you have a positive one, you're going to come back to it. So that's what we kind of hang our hat on, and that's what we're going to show you today. So Bob, over to you. Bob, you're on mute.
I speak into the mute button a lot. I sound better that way. Sorry about that. I hate people who read from the slides, so I'm not going to do that, but these are the 7 things that we hang our hat on as being pain points that we can treat. CMD is not accurate, and of course it's never accurate. 90% is good, 95% is great. Most people are 75% plus or minus. Expend too many resources doing a physical inventory, it takes too much time. The process we feed into the CMDB has manual paper processes still attached to it. Paying a lot for maintenance on my assets. Is it too much? Am I paying for maintenance on assets that I disposed of 5 years ago? When I was with IBM, I found a lot of that. Do I not want to pay maintenance on it because it's out of service? If I bring it back in, I'll bring the maintenance up to date, but for right now, I don't need that. If you use a discovery tool, it does find about 60% of the assets, and it only finds that many usually because they're behind the firewall, or they're temporarily disconnected, or they're in the warehouse and haven't been pulled up, or they're inactive, whatever the case may be. We'll talk a little bit also about the receiving and disposal process being painful, and we try to take that pain out of it. Mike hit on a great thing that we hang our hat on, which is the last one, which is our field services are remote, and sometimes there's no network coverage, which is why our being device native is a whole lot better than being browser-based. It makes a big, big difference. And I have the little poll icon up here, so Mike, let me pass that back to you to do the poll thing here.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Bob. So this is our first of 2 polls today. And I believe I just went ahead and launched it, so everybody should see the poll up on their screen. And for those who might not have visual today, the poll question reads, of the challenges on the screen, how many of them are pain points for your organization? And available options are none, we're all good, 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6, and then all of them. So let's give folks another 10 seconds to vote. Then we'll go ahead and close that up and share the results with you, and you can kind of see where you stack up against your fellow webinar attendees and peers. So we'll close it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you. So we actually had about 3/4 of you vote, so thank you very much. And here are the results. Again, the question was, of the challenges on the screen, how many of them are pain points for your organization? 0% said no, we're all good. 7% said 1 to 2. 37% said 3 to 4. 19% said 5 to 6, and then 37% said all of them. So very, very interesting to note. So I'm going to go ahead and hide the results, and we're going to pass it back to Bob.
Thanks very much, Mike. And since I'm already over, I shall try to be very brief. Wouldn't it be great, and this, of course, this is our ideal, and there's 6 of them, and they're all good. Wouldn't it be great if the CMDB was 95% accurate? And the answer is, of course, absolutely true. Wouldn't it be great if the maintenance paid was what we actually owed? That would even be better. Wouldn't it be better if we were more efficient with the workforce so you could capture the data with or without Wi-Fi? We'll address that in the demo. If we leverage the mobile devices we already got, let's make them work more and harder so that our employees and people can work smarter instead of harder. And of course, there's the governance issue. If we do it automatically, we can establish and enforce the protocol and the governance and the systematic way we want everybody to do it. And the last one's really great, and I've seen this one in action. Wouldn't it be great if you could receive or dispose of 100 assets in less than 10 minutes from the system? And with that, I shall pass this on to Andy, and thanks very much.
All right, thanks, Bob.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. So real quick to kind of set the stage for the demo of what you'll see with Clark and Denise. Basically, as Bob outlined, we got a lot of power within the 2 tools, a lot of capabilities within Mobile Reach, and then extending the power of ServiceNow out to those folks in the field, whether they're within a corporate office, whether they're in a store, whether they're in a remote location. A lot of those activities that they're doing are pretty standard across the industry when it comes to asset management. So what we've actually got here is we've done some work with Mobile Reach, and we've packaged up some common use cases and applications that we leverage on the ServiceNow platform as well as Mobile Reach. So we're integrating these different scenarios to make it really easier for folks to get their day-to-day job done much quicker, much more effectively. So what you'll see here when we turn it over to Clark and Denise are 4 basically use cases or 4 applications that we've developed and integrated into ServiceNow. Just a quick rundown of those. You see the receive assets, couple against that. We have one built that will demonstrate how it can leverage the power of ServiceNow for procurement. So one of the key aspects is being able to receive against a PO. You want to receive those assets and validate that you have what you ordered. And sometimes that PO information is in ServiceNow if you're leveraging ServiceNow for that. Sometimes it's outside of ServiceNow. You're using SAP or PeopleSoft or some other procurement ERP tool. But we still want that same capability to be able to receive those assets in ServiceNow and capture the info that we need to. So we've got a use case to kind of demonstrate what you can do with or without PO information. Inventory update assets, pretty straightforward. It's the common day-to-day wall-to-wall inventory, and then sending some assets for disposal. And again, one of the key differentiators here between ServiceNow Mobile View, where we kind of expand on that, is putting that power out into the field, not browser-based, so you can perform these activities with or without internet access, and that won't disrupt your work activities. Real quick, before we jump to the demo, one last poll question. Mike, I'll turn it over to you.
Sweet. Thanks, Andy. Yeah, so our second and last poll for the day. Go ahead and launch that. And the last poll question asks, do you currently have a mobility or scanning solution integrated with your asset management system? Available options are yes, no, and I don't know. So again, we'll give folks another 10 seconds here. We still got some votes coming in, so we don't want to cut anybody off. So we'll go ahead and shut this poll down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, go ahead and close that. And here are the results. Again, the question was, do you currently have a mobility or scanning solution integrated with your asset management system? 16% said yes, 77% said no, and then 6% said I don't know. So clearly a majority do not. Thank you, by the way, to everybody for participating in the polls today. That is it. So now we are finally at the fun part of the presentation of the webinar, the demo. So without wasting any more time, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Denise, who's going to kick the demo off.
Okay.
Changing presenter to you now, Denise.
All right. There we go. Can you
Great.
see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Okay, good. All right, so this is my iPod, and I have it connected to my PC with a tool called Reflector so that you can see my iPod screen on my PC. And this icon up here to the right is the Mobile Reach Splitware application. I'll start that up. And you can see I have 5 applications here. We have 2 inventory applications. One runs online, one offline. That's why Andy didn't mention that. But we do have the receive with a PO, receive without a PO, the inventory, and the send for disposal applications all on this device here. And my device is in a case that is called a Linnea Pro, and it does scanning. So you'll see how I can scan right into a field using my Linnea Pro device. So I'm going to start up the receive with a PO. It's going to connect to the database, and I've already downloaded the background data, so you don't have to wait for that. And what is shown here is the PO screen. So I'm going to scan in a purchase order that's in ServiceNow, and you'll see that here. So I scan that PO 10002, and it's got 2 line items associated with it. I'm going to select one of those line items, and it bumps me over to the next tab and tells me that I have Apple MacBook Pro 17 to receive. And I'm going to set the category. I'm going to set my location that I'm receiving into, which I'm going to pick San Diego, and a stockroom. And now I'm ready to receive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 6 assets that I have here, at least the barcodes for the assets, and scan these in. So I'm going to start with my serial number. Oops, I'm sorry, for the first one. And then the asset tag. And it saved it as soon as I scan that asset tag. So you hardly even see it, but it's scanning the serial number. And as soon as it scans that asset tag, I have the application configured so that it saves the record. I'm going to quickly scan my 6, and then I'll show you how we'll upload them to ServiceNow. So I hit close. There's my 6 records. I may have missed on one of them. Let's see if I can fix that one. That should be serial number 4. I think there we go. Okay. All right, so I've got my asset tags and my serial numbers all scanned. I'm going down here to the upload receive records. And as soon as those are uploaded to ServiceNow, we'll switch it back to Clark. And there you go. Okay, you can give it to Clark, and he can show us how these were updated in ServiceNow.
Alrighty, thanks Denise. This is Clark. So what I have on my screen here is actually the ServiceNow instance that the Mobile Reach data integrates into. What I already have up on my screen is that PO number, PO2, which Denise just scanned via the Mobile Reach application. You'll notice at top we have PO information, and down below we have PO line information on our PO line items tab here. What you'll see is that the first set of items, which is the Apple MacBook Pro 17-inch, had an original order quantity of 5. We've received those 5, and you'll see that the PO line's automatically been marked as received. So if I click into that, you'll notice some information that was fed directly in from that integration, along with receiving slips for which those assets were scanned. Also, in relationship to the PO line items record here are 5 assets that were created. So you'll see here in this list, or if I was to go directly into the asset table within ServiceNow, are those assets themselves. I can click directly into one. I'll just click through mobile tag 1 here, and you'll notice that when we scanned that record into the system, we've automatically initiated a status and substatus update to in stock and available. We've also carried over that location, which is the San Diego, California and San Diego South warehouse information that Denise had passed into the system. If I click into the financial tab here, you'll notice the PO line reference, the original PO that was scanned for that asset, the receive date, and the receive location for where that was also scanned. So all of that information came over as soon as Denise accepted those scans and pushed them into the ServiceNow instance. And then if I was just to update my asset table as well, you'll see that those recent updates also fed the system. If we look down here at the bottom at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is what Denise scanned, you'll see in stock and available, and there are those 5 asset records within your asset table as well, all marked as Apple MacBook Pro 17-inch. Denise, I will go ahead and pass back your way for the next use case.
Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, the next application we're going to look at is receive without a PO. In case your configuration of ServiceNow doesn't have purchase orders in the system, then we can just do it where you enter the PO number, but you don't download the PO line item. So as this application starts up, you'll see it's a little bit different, laid out a little bit differently because the user doesn't have to search for the purchase order. So the first thing the user will do is set the location, which again I'll pick San Diego because I know I have a stock room in San Diego. And now I'm just going to type in, or I could scan in if I had a barcode. I can type in my purchase order. I'm going to tell ServiceNow what model category and model I am receiving here. I know I'm going to be doing my MacBook 17-inch. And so now I've got all that information in there. And this information at the top will remain for all of the assets that I scan. As you see, when I scan these assets, that top information will stay. So I'm going to scan 4 assets. I'm going to scan the serial number, and the asset tag. It saved it again when I scanned that asset tag, so I can quickly go through all of my assets. I'm on my third one, my fourth one. I hit close, and there's my 4 assets that I scanned. I still missed on one of them, so let me fix this one. Let's see, this one should be 7. I have my barcodes printed, so it's hitting a little bit close. There we go. Now I'm ready to upload my records, and as soon as these upload, then Clark can show us how these assets were created in ServiceNow. Okay. Can pass it to Clark. There you go.
Okay. So I won't spend too much time on this one, as the feed's very similar to the first, except we're not creating a relationship between those assets and the actual PO record in the procurement application. However, if I sort by updated timestamps, you'll see those recent updates just came through, 6, 7, 8, 9, again in stock and available. And then if I click into those, you'll see that that PO number's called out for which Denise scanned, along with that same and similar information on other attributes, receive dates, locations, and just your basic general information. Denise, coming back your way.
All right. The next application I'm going to show is the online inventory, and this is the one where I can scan an asset and make an update. I can review what information is in ServiceNow for this asset, and I can make an update if I need to. So I'm going to scan one of the ones I just received, and I'm going to go ahead and assign it to somebody. I'm going to say this one's going to belong to Andy, so I'm going to make the status in use. Oops, in use. You can see that the substate field cleared because it's not applicable to a status or a state of in use. So I'm going to go ahead and type in Andy. I know Andy's in there. It's going to go search online in the sysuser table. I can pick Andy, and then I'm going to save and update. And that, oops, for some reason I must have fat fingered that one. I think I accidentally cleared that out. There we go. Okay, now I can save it. And that is now in ServiceNow. And I think for just to save on time, I'm going to go right to the send for disposal and go ahead and do this application too. So this application is a really easy way to just get rid of a room full of assets. I'm going to first set my comments field, and I'm actually going to use the microphone down there and say what my comments are. Recycling assets. Okay, and now I'm ready to scan. I can scan these assets really quickly. And then I hit the save button in between. Let's see. I'll just do one more. Okay, so you can see that this is a very quick way to get these assets uploaded into ServiceNow. So Clark, when you look, you can look for FruMobile 12, and you should be able to show it as status of in transit, send for disposal. Back to Clark.
Alrighty. Thank you, Denise. So again, I'm logged back into the asset table of ServiceNow. So if I just refresh my list of assets here, you'll see FruMobile 12 up top. I'll go ahead and click into that one. You'll see here, again, automatically pushing a state and substate update in transit pending disposal, as that came from the disposal feed that Denise just scanned particular barcodes for. So that information was passed over directly into the asset record in ServiceNow. And then disposal information was also carried forward. The recycling assets comment that Denise had left in the update was also carried forward. So again, an easy way to immediately push updates for disposal records into ServiceNow from the mobility application. That concludes our demo for today. I will go ahead and pass the ball back to Mike Henderson for the conclusion of the webinar.
Thanks, guys. You guys had me nervous there for a second. Coming up close to 11:30, but we squeezed it all in. So that was a great demo. That was my first time seeing it, and that was definitely some fascinating stuff. So like Clark said, that does conclude today's webinar. I do want to say thank you very much to everybody who attended today, the folks who participated in polls, who asked questions. I know there were a couple questions that came in that we probably won't have time to answer during this actual broadcast, but we will follow up with you personally after the webinar for sure. So be on the lookout for communication from us with an answer. Again, recording of the webinar will be shared sometime next week, so look out for that. It'll be a good source of reference, something kind of cool to share with your coworkers as well. Obviously, the demo portion was recorded, so that might be fun to watch again as well. Obviously, again, thanks to the panel of presenters as well. Special thanks to the Mobile Reach team, Bob, Denise, and Mike for joining today and sharing their knowledge. And then thanks to the Fruition team, Clark and Andy as well. On this last slide, you will see our contact info up here. So if you are interested in learning more about this cool integration, feel free to reach out to either of us. Email addresses and website URLs are up there. So that does it. If Mobile Reach has anything else they'd like to close out with, speak now. Otherwise, we will shut down this webinar, and we look forward to seeing everybody at the next webinar.
Thanks a bunch, Mike.
Thanks, everybody.